Welcome to class, soulmates. So this is what we're going to be making: a skirt and blouse with a one net inside. We're going to be concentrating on the blouse, the off shoulder blouse. Before, in the next video, we're going to be talking about the shoulder drop down net that was worn inside. Okay, so this is the fabric that we're going to be using. We're going to be using a miniature dress form. Okay, this is it. Now I've tried capturing the design in one side, and this time I want to make it full. Okay, so we're concentrating on the off shoulder blouse with scallop neckline. The net was one inside, not sewn together to the blouse. So I'm going to be using this to get a measurement. This is a miniature dress form. So the neckline is going to be starting at 3.5 inches, and from there we have our bust line, under bust, waistline, and the full length of the blouse. Now if you're using your measurement, please feel free to take your actual measurement. Your neckline should not be 3.5 for off shoulder. You can have like 5, 6, 7, depending on how deep you want it to be. That is the neck depth. Then you can take your round arm measurement, round shoulder measurement, then round upper bust measurement. This will help you to get your off shoulder very accurately, although there are other means to go about it. As we proceed, we'll learn more of it. Okay, then we have our back half length. Also, the neckline for the back can be the same for the front. It's not a must that it will be the same. Okay, so here we're going to proceed to drafting. This video is more about drafting. So we're going to be minusing the neck depth that will measure 3.5. If you're using 5 inches, feel free to remove 5 inches. From there, take your actual bust measurement, under bust, waistline, and the full length of the blouse. Okay, if you're using 5 inches for the neck depth, just minus 5 inches from the tape and mark what is remaining. Then we're going to take our bust span measurement, nipple to nipple, divide by 2. No seam allowance is added to it. So for this small miniature, it's about 1.5 inch or 0.75. Okay, so once we mark that, we're going to rule it from the top to down. I just want to make sure that I have an accurate measurement there. All right, so mark that this way, and then we're going to be working our under bust to tighten the under bust. Your actual measurement, you can mark 1 inch this way and half inch that way, but because I'm using a miniature, I can just mark whatever I think is okay for it. Then I'll come up by 2 inches, and I'll connect the line to the 2 inches from the under bust. Now this is just what I choose to do. You can decide to mark the same thing straight down to the full length of the measurement. Like I was trying to explain here, you can mark it straight down, then while taking your measurement, you add back whatever it is that you took out from the dart. But I didn't want to make it that way. I just want to slant it to the 2 inches above. Okay, so from the bust point, I'm going to connect to the under bust. Nothing is removed at the bust point. We're connecting from the bust point to the under bust using our curve this way. I hope this makes sense to you. Now at the upper bust tightening, I'm also going to take the same thing I took at the under bust. That is if you're using your actual measurements, but if not, you can just mark whatever. Now if you're using the actual measurement, you can just mark 1 inch this way, half inch that way, which is just the same thing, and it will also be fine. This is where you do not want the underbust to be too tight. If you want the underbust to be quite really fitted, you can mark more than 1.5 inch depending on the bust size too. Okay, so I'll take my actual measurements. once I mark the actual measurement, I'll measure whatever it is I have at the that line and add it back to my measurements so that I will not have shortage of any measurement. Okay, remember I said your under bust tightening depends on the size of the bust, right? If you're on the big side, 1.5 inch may not be okay. You can take more than 2 inches. Okay, so at the bust point, our actual measurement stands, adding seam allowance, but we're not adding seam allowance to the paper. When transferring to the fabric, that's when we're going to be adding a seam allowance. Okay, now coming to the upper part, I'm also going to add back the dart so that I will not have the measurements coming into my bust area, revealing the armhole. All right, so we're going to connect all the lines together. We're going to connect all the lines together. This class, like I said before, it's all about the blouse, the off-shoulder blouse. Okay, in the next video we'll maybe talking about the net that is inside. Of course, the two of them are not sewn together, even though it's possible to be sewn together, but at this point they are not sewn together. So you feel free to subscribe to this channel. The neckline, you can give it any cut you want. You can decide to leave it like that, it's still okay. Subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up if you find this video interesting to you, and come back for more detailed tutorials. Of course, we have as many as possible in this channel. So I'll trim off the neckline and I'll keep this aside while we work on the back area. So I'm going to mark the lines for the back. This is the front. I'm going to mark the lines for the back. Okay, so the neckline, like I said, the front and back can be the same, and then we'll have our bust, the waist, the under bust is not needed, and the full length of the blouse. Now to tighten our back, I'll go in by 1/2 inch and connect it to the upper part and to the lower part. This is at the waistline. If you're using your garment, you also do this so that you don't have any form of bulge at the back side after making your garments. So our measurement is for the waist is going to begin from the new line. Now I'm going to mark my dart line. I'll make it on a straight line so that it does not affect any part of the measurement, and I'll roll it straight up this way. Okay, so we're going to tighten at the waistline, 1/2 inch on both sides if you're using your actual measurements, and then at the upper part also we're going to tighten 0.25, 0.25. The tightening should not be like the one done in the front. Okay, so rule out. Then at the lower part I'll go up by 2 inches, and that is where the dart is going to stop, and I'll connect it that way. So there's not too much tightening at the back, it's only at the front that will have so much tightening. Okay, now after the towards the armhole area, or at the armhole area, you can decide to add back whatever it is that you have there. If you think it's much to go away from your measurement, or can add it back, but I have to do that so we do not have any form of bulge at the back. Okay, so I'll take my waist measurements and mark, adding back the dart at the waist. Also this part you can decide to add back the dart, but where we did the back tightening we are not going to be adding back the dart, but it's still possible you add back the darts if that is what you want. So the back neckline, we're going to curve it a little. The neckline is a round neckline, right? It's a round neckline, so you can decide to curve it a little. Now we're going to connect our lines together like we did in the front. Give it a nice curve. Of course, the curving is according to your measurements, according to your shape. Whatever your shape is, that is what you're going to have on the paper, and that is the beauty of using a pattern before cutting on the fabric. You'll be able to see what you're working on before the actual results, and you'll be able to minimize wastage of fabric and minimize mistakes as well. Okay, so now that we've cut out, we're now going to be working on both the front and the back. Of course, we're going to separate the papers, cut out the darts. We're going to cut out the darts for both the front and the back. So like I said before, please, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please kindly do so. Give it a thumbs up, share it, and come back for more interesting videos. Like I told us before, I was under the weather and I was not able to record videos, so we just started, and promise it's going to be continuous. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is the day we upload new video tutorials, and I hope to see you in all of those days. Okay, so you can also make suggestions of what you want us to um, illustrate in this channel. So long as tutorials fashion is concerned, we're here for it. Okay, so this is the back. You can see how it's looking pretty already, and this is the front. You can see how it is looking pretty already, taking the shape of the form. So I'm going to use my solo tape and put them together, right? Including the sleeve. Now in the next video also we're going to talk about off shoulder sleeves. Now after putting this together, we're not going to create the scallop neckline. You can see the way I'm trying to create it. But then to make it more simple, we can put this together, as in fold them up together and cut it at once. In that case, we'll have uniform cutting. I think that is the best way to do it, but I've already done this. Okay, so if you're doing yours, put them together and cut it all at once. Like fold them together and cut. It's going to give you a better uniform look, right? So this is the scallop neckline. This is just how it is done for the neckline. Now we're going to put the lower part together. I've already done this like I showed us before in a smaller form, just one side, okay, without the sleeve, but here I decided to make it together with the sleeve also. Now for the lower part, all we have to do is to put them together like I was explaining. You can do this for the neckline as well, so that it comes out uniform. Okay, I'll mark 2 inches up, mark 2 inches up, and I'll connect it to the sides. And I'll connect this to the side. Then I'll use my scissors to cut out the scallop. Now after cutting out, you can decide to still give the front any asymmetric shape that you want. Okay, but this is just what my scissors is able to do, and I believe you find this so interesting and helpful. Thank you for watching this video tutorial on making a scallop design both at the neckline and at the hemline. I'm going to see you in our next video as we proceed for the net and every other thing, the neckline and all that. So this is the outcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye.